Welcome back, YouTube. In today's video, the gray 944, not the black one, Roxanne, is having alternator issues. Basically, I lost the pulley. Well, I lost the bolt for the pulley. And upon putting a new bolt on it, the alternator, something inside of it is messed up and it's making a horrible noise. So I have a new used alternator that I got from Lart's Porsche Parts off eBay, and I'm gonna show you guys how to change an alternator in your 944. This should apply to any 83 to 89 944 and I believe 944S, but not the 944 turbo because it has a different intake. But for the most part, it's the same. The actual alternator removal part is the same. The only difference is the intake on the turbos. But yeah, let's dig in this old girl. So it does not matter what vehicle you're working on. If you are removing an alternator, you will be unscrewing a hot positive cable. So your first step should always be to remove the negative battery cable, or both, whatever you're more comfortable with, but usually the negative is just fine in this case. We'll tuck it away so it doesn't go in back on the battery. All right, our next step is we are going to remove the air box. Now the 944, it's fairly easy. Just loosen this flathead screw. For the Jade boot, loosen up this if you have it. Most of these have been deleted by now. You need to pop this connector off of the AFM. There's two bolts right here, and in the back there are two bolts right here, and your whole entire air box and AFM should come out of the vehicle all in one piece. When you remove these, be careful. There is a little spacer right here and right here, and those can fall out and will get lost, and you'll be very sad if you lose them. Also, for this little clip, just get a screwdriver right in the middle, flathead, and turn it, and just let it pop off very carefully. You don't have to go all crazy fast with it, just nice and slow, all right? All right, now you can see your alternator. It's right there, nice and easy to get to. There is obviously more that has to happen to get this alternator out. There's 3 8mm bolts, 1, 2, and all the way down there you have the feel for it. 3, this holds a shroud on the back. You got to unplug this right here. It's just a cover to keep moisture out and dirt. Then you can pull the shroud off. We're also going to go underneath and we're going to take the belt off. You need to take the belt off, and you need to loosen the mounts that hold the AC compressor on to get the compressor swung out of the way, or else you won't be able to get the bottom bolt of the alternator out. So I think the next step I'm going to do is I'm just going to go underneath and get that out of the way. That way I don't have to go under anymore. Also, with that being said, you need to remove the 3 bolts that hold the fan shroud on the bottom too while you're under there. The reason why, this bolt right here comes out and will hit this fan shroud right here. So you need to be able to move the fan shroud down. What I do is I remove the 3 bolts on the bottom as you were. I remove the 2 bolts from the one from the middle and one from this side. I leave the bottom. Damn, I didn't hit the ground. I leave the bottom bolt on that side. I take the 3 off the top and I let it swing down just a little bit to give you clearance. I don't take the fans all the way out. Okay, we are now underneath the vehicle. I don't know if you could tell, but I have a slight oil leak. Need to fix that. Now I'm going to give you 3 tips in a row. First tip is never ever loosen or tension your belt without loosening this forward bolt or this rear bolt on the compressor. Tip number 1. Tip number 2. If you're in a pinch like I was, you can use an axle bolt in the back of the AC compressor to hold it on. I happened to lose my bolt and my compressor was at an angle and I was able to put a new bolt in. So let's loosen this real quick. The axle bolt. The axle uses an 8mm triple square bit. Now I use an aftermarket axle and it just happened to be a 6mm Allen, but they are the same size. Like, not the tool, but the actual thread pitch on the bolt. Now, the third tip, the best store in the world, Harbor Freight, sells these little tiny extensions. I'm telling you, this extension, you wonder why it exists, right? Well, it exists so you could use a small Pittsburgh socket, 17mm, with this extension, and my Husky wrench, which happens to be a little bit low profile. Check this out. You ready? With ease, I'm able to get in front of the fan shroud and on the bolt to loosen it. I always, for some reason, find that this bolt is just a pain. You cannot get it with the deep socket and you can't get it with a short socket. So this is the in-between. Now, we will take our 17mm wrench on one of these sides and we'll break this bolt loose. It goes towards the back, and then we might be able to break this one loose too. Nope, I'm gonna need both. Some one-hand magic right here. You ready for this? All right. Sorry, the light is getting in the way. That is broke loose. And now we can loosen the belt a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen the tensioner a little bit till the belt is kind of loose, and then I'm just going to take this bolt off and loosen this one and let the whole thing pivot. All right. As you can see, it should be nice and easy to move this tensioner. Remove the bolt. Oh, that's not it's actually not even tight. Nice. Push the compressor over and you can pull the belt. Try to remember your belt's orientation. You want to put it on the same direction it was when it came off. Sometimes an older belt, they spin backwards. You could break them. Now this belt has only been used for about 30 seconds on the car. All right, underneath here you can see this bolt right here and right here in the center. We are going to remove these. They are a 10mm. You will also want to break this one loose just a little bit. Another important reason why to disconnect the battery is these fan blades. Some of these 944s, if the relay is bad, they will just turn on whenever the hell they want, and you do not want your finger in there, all right? A lot of people that I've seen with 944s for some reason struggle putting this heat shield back on and off. Just do the best you can to make sure you retain it. And from what I can remember, this thing is kind of tricky to get out. But take your time and eventually it'll come. Now we are going to remove this nut right here. I believe it's a 13 or a 12. Make sure you do not lose the washer on it. There is a bolt and a washer. Same goes for this next wire. It is a 8mm. There is also a washer on that. Try not to lose that either. Especially this one. This is a small bolt. These are the ones that actually like hit the ground, and even if they hit the ground, they disappear. And there you go. This is also a good opportunity to get a wire brush and clean these up. Make sure they're nice and shiny like this, all right? All right, first bolt that I like to remove is this top one. And it is tight. The reason why I like removing this one first is because there are kind of a lot of threads on it. And while the bottom one is tight, it makes it easier to just hand thread out this piece. Now if you take the bottom one out, it puts a little bit of pressure on here and it makes it a little bit harder to hand thread out. As you can see, a lot of threads. All right. Let's see if I could do this with one hand on camera. Now I'm going to move the fan shroud down just a little bit out of the way. Pull this bolt underneath this radiator hose. Come on, camera angle on the fly. It's really hard to see the bolt that probably can't. Tip of the bolt now is on the fan shroud. You should be able to pull it all the way out from there, and it will definitely fight you every second of the way. But literally the radiator fan is designed in such a poor way to be there. Typical German cars. They just like to freaking fight you the whole way. And as you can see, we have given birth to a long ass bolt. Alright, as you can see, I prepared my tools. There is a 17mm bolt right down here in the bottom and a nut on the back. In order to get a tool on that nut on the back, you need to have the AC compressor pushed that way as far as you can. Otherwise, the hoses get in the way. So let's loosen this thing up. And once that's loose, there's nothing stopping us from pulling the thing out. Thing as in alternator. Oh, I dropped it. It hit the ground though. Now you may have to wiggle it, you may have to pry it. I prefer to pry it. Just get a pry bar right in between here. Pop it back. And voila. Alright, last thing to know when doing an alternator change is not every alternator will come with the voltage regulator installed on it. Now I bought my alternator used and it had one on there. So I'm going to undo these two bolts right here. And we're going to pull it out. I'm going to give this alternator to a repair shop as a core and let them know what it is. But I'm going to keep the voltage regulator. As you can see, the way it pops in there, it kind of goes in and hooks in at an angle and pops down. All right. You can see it in there. This one got pretty worn out. Basically what happened with this is the bolt fell off, or the nut, and it rounded down the bottom of the pulley. I put a new nut on it, but see, it's all crooked and it makes a horrible noise when it's spinning. So let's put this back in the car and get old Roxanne driving again, because I have not driven this car since I got back from leave. I have been dailying the Black Beauty, which, stay tuned on this, because this car, it's not going to be black anymore. We're going to turn from regular mechanic to regular vinyl wrappers. I'm going to try it out totally noob style, and I'll bring you guys along with the ride. But let's throw this back in my car. Sorry? Yeah, I don't want one. Wait, up. Right on. You look at the bolt. Okay. I am screwing the J-boot on right now because I swear to God, I always freaking forget. Go to start my car and it won't start. I'm like, what the hell, man? Well, it's my J-boot. Clip that on. Put this on. My 2.6. 1, 2. You want to take this out? Take this out. I'll do it. I'll play more. I'm going to lose for a second. This is that reason. See, I can't line up. Also, in the corner. In the corner. Where's the container? Super there. I found one. Oh, my God, actually. So I'm not too sure how to put that in. I'm sure it's usable. These are tight. It's not. That's probably about 10 pounds, maybe. She's installed. Now all I gotta do is go underneath, install the belt, and tighten it up. I'll wrap up underneath off camera. It's pretty simple. Just make sure that whenever you tighten your belt, you are not tightening it with the bolts holding the AC compressor tight. They always got to be loose no matter how you adjust the belt, even if it's a little bit. Then once that's wrapped up, I'll meet you back at the battery. Okay, last but not least, we will connect our battery. Excuse me. Does not have to be super tight. Remember, whenever you are done working on a job, put your tools away. All right, so what we need to do is use a multimeter. We need to start the vehicle, and we need to verify that the voltage going from the alternator to the battery with the vehicle running is around 13 to 14 and a half volts. You don't want any more, you don't want any less. So let's start the car. This is how you make sure it's a neutral. Also, I'm not gonna flex, but if you can't see your key, you could always turn the light on your key. Also, make sure you reset your clock. All right, I'll stop flexing. All right. So start her up. .4 volts. All right. Oh yeah, 944s also have power door locks. All right, stop flexing. You can also adjust your passenger seat. Okay, I'll stop. Anyways, with that being said, it said 14.38 volts. So the alternator obviously is putting voltage to the battery. Do not trust your gauge. Never trust a freaking gauge in a Porsche. All right, but that does not mean 100% that it is charging your battery, but it is a good indicator. If you want to know 100% if it's going to charge your battery, your best bet is to take it to a shop and have them test it on the bench. Me personally, I am not an alternator professional, so I'm not too sure on the test. I just know that if you see voltage higher than 12 volts when the engine is running, usually it's charging your battery. But anyways, without further ado, this is the conclusion of my video. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have any questions. I usually try my best to either heart react, like, or respond to every comment I get on YouTube. And also, if anybody has any interest in seeing this car get wrapped, let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what color you would like to see it. I already have a color picked out. I have actually colors. The sample's coming in a couple days. I'm going to practice wrapping with it and see how it works. I'm thinking of it's called Suzuka Ice Gray, white, candy apple red, or green. I do not know yet what I want to do. I'm leaning towards gray, but I already have a gray car, so 2 gray cars, don't know. Let me know what you guys think. With that being said, see you guys later. Have a good weekend. Peace out.